Welcome back to the Leeds Rhinos Podcast, episode 29. I'm Phil Daly, the head of media and PR, and we're going to look back on the win against Castleford Tigers on Saturday and look ahead to Wakefield Trinity at AMT Henley this Saturday. Bit different this week. We're not in the podcast studio. It's a bank holiday Monday, so we thought we'd stay at home with the families, but still bring you all the podcasts that you want to listen to. So I'm delighted to be joined by assistant coach Scott Grix, who's given up his time to jump on and talk about the game at Cass. It was a hard-fought win in the end, but a derby game, you expect nothing else.
Yeah, it was. I think Castleford have had a bit of a resurgence in performance. There was a decent crowd there. It was billed as the derby game, and Danny Mag spoke pre-game about their boys making sure they were up for it. And it was what it was. It was a difficult game, pretty physical. So to come out with the comfortable score at the end essentially was good for us, yeah.
That first half, there were a couple of opportunities early on. I'm thinking when Lachie made the break and he had Ash outside him, and then soon after that, Harry dropped that ball where he ran a great line to hit that gap, but then couldn't go over the ball. How important was it to not get frustrated by those missed chances and keep the mind on the job?
Yeah, the balance is really hard when we practice to make those passes and we back each other to make those plays. But the balance of getting that right to building some pressure and getting into your games, obviously a fine line. You don't want to have too many of those, but we're also got to clap them and back them for seeing the opportunity and taking it. So, we don't want too many of them. If a couple of those would have stuck early, again, that can go two ways, right? You get a try really early and you think you've had a pretty good start and you may lose your way a little bit. So we fought hard to build the game from the start, even with the errors. So good.
And that first try didn't come to the 32nd minute with Crofty getting over there, but it was a reward for the work the lads had put in.
Yeah, it didn't come for a while. We knew sort of around that 20-minute mark there where we didn't quite get what we were looking for. If we just stuck in there a little bit longer, we'd get it. And then the impact off the bench that Sam had at that point was pretty huge for us, really. He had a big carry to start his stint, made a bit of a line break on one of them, and then came up with a try there just before half-time that kind of put us, give us the ascendancy going into half-time. Probably just what we needed, a bit of a reward for what was a tough first 30 minutes, especially.
Yeah, he had a couple of big spells there, didn't he, Sam? 176 metres. 8 tackles on him for 27 minutes, and of course 2 tries as well. It was a good way. He seems to be really enjoying his rugby at the moment.
Yeah, we've got obviously a bit of competition there for places in the middle too, because everybody's fit. Everybody wants to play more minutes than they're probably getting, and we're trying our best to make sure everyone gets what we need for the team, and also keep everybody fresh as we can. So bench impact's really important, and Sam gave us that off the bench at the weekend. With the pitch being a little bit shorter, I thought we did a really good job of containing there from a field position point of view. We had some decent kick return sets where we were able to kind of take the ball to them and run, which is why everyone was over quite a lot of meters there. Lachie absolutely smashing the game there with over 300 again, so big for us.
Yeah, when you look at the metre totals, it's remarkable. There's only 2 players, James McDonald and Tom Holroyd, who were under 100 metres for the game. And to be fair to Mackie, he was on 99, so a decent stride. He could have been over 100 as well, other than Jared O'Connor. But obviously Jared was moving the ball on. But you look at those huge amount of metres. I mean, Lachie Miller there, 350, as you mentioned there. He just continues to find gaps in defences, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. We're complementing each other really well there, I reckon. There's not one week where there's a couple of people out there. The variation of play and sharing the carries, the load, has helped everybody there really. Lachie's balance of beating people to pass in and that sort of stuff's at a very good level at the moment. He's finding some rhythm, so yeah, more long may it continue.
How much, as a former fullback, do you enjoy working with him? He's a pretty exciting, infectious character, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's got a lot of things that I don't have. I didn't have, especially. And I think we all kind of don't realise how how little of game time he's had there. I know it feels like he's been around a little bit. He played a little bit of NRL there at the back, but what he does, he's off the ball stuff that you think you need a lot of reps at fullback for, sorting numbers defensively and sort of being a step ahead of the play. He's really good at that, which you probably don't get enough credit for, really, for someone with a lower fullback age than most in the competition there. That's the side that I'd most pleased about for him. He's not having to chase his tail everywhere because he's not been in them scenarios before. We know he can carry the ball. We know he's pretty quick. That bit comes natural to him, but the rest of it, he's worked on that pretty hard.
Was that a pretty smart move from Jake Connor to just knock over that drop goal with the last plays of the first half?
Yeah, I think we discussed it a couple of weeks ago when Cine dropped one, because none of us saw it coming, actually, apart from Jack. And we discussed post-game, it's more probably better off having it before we need it. So sometimes, we've got that in the bank. You feel like you can settle yourself down, and then, the last thing you need on the next set there is an error in the kickoff set, because you're then defending again anyway. But yeah, I think taking it before you need it was the theme coming out of last time we got one of those. So don't mind it. They do practice regular too, so if they're in the mix and they're feeling it, back them.
What was the talk like at half-time at 7-0?
I think it was expected that it would be pretty close going in there. We mentioned the errors there at the start of the game, not getting frustrated. But main point was to start the game again, build from the start, and see where it took us to. We spoke about chasing some more field position and giving us a chance to do it now. With the field there being a little bit short, if you make an error on the last play, you throw it over the sideline, you kick it dead and you get a 7-tackle set, you're soon defending your own line again just because of the nature of it. So real focus pre-game and then again in at half-time would be to not make any of those errors really and give any territory away, which we're really good at, I thought, and we got a lot of opportunity that second half there to score 4 tries again on the last play. So taking the sets to the end and backing ourselves when we need to was good.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the kicking game, because obviously that was huge in the second half for those tries, the kick and the chase and then the support and runners on that chase. I mean, how do you practice that in a week for the dimensions of that cast pitch? Because obviously, as you say there, if you overcook it and you end up with 7 tackle sets, it's gonna hurt you in the end. But the fact that we were absolutely on the money every time.
Yeah, I think we practiced both sides of the ball on that. We were obviously going to be, envisaged a little bit more under the pump in terms of defending kicks on our try line, which we had a heap of the week before. So we got a little bit of practice there live in an actual Super League game. The main session of the week's been brilliant for us, especially this last month. The quality of that team, because we've got a lot of bodies fit in and mixed in with the reserves and the academy lads there. They prepped us really well. The detail around what we're showing from a preview point of view and them delivering it for us and seeing some pictures that we might see in the game helps. And then just the combinations, we're building the combinations on it. So, and we got a bit of luck there too. I believe you make your own luck, but we're in that position a couple of times and they managed to trap and scrap one of them. The ball flicked up, but everybody's in the right spot because we know what play's coming, and Lachie ends up with the ball there off the back of a ricochet. So you have to be in them positions for a start, but heavy practice and a bit of combination. But we're getting really well prepped from a training point of view at the moment. Yeah,
when we seen it the previous week, didn't we? When Hull got that bounce off the post at County Drive, if you put bodies in the frame, then there's a chance you make most of those opportunities.
Yeah, we've got people that can finish them too. So we've challenged our kickers and our last plays in general to be of a very high quality, whether we're kicking or we're running. Something that we mentioned throughout the week. Again, we practice and the lads are marked on post game. So when we're reviewing it, we're keeping a pretty high standard on it. So that won't change. Gives us more opportunity when we get to the end of our sets.
And one piece of skill, Cam Smith, when he got that ball to keep the ball carrying arm up to get that offload away, that's the sort of rugby that Leeds fans traditionally have loved to see.
Yeah, full pivot on his knees. We'll likely be showing that in the review. There are a few bits of skill there that added to the game. That's one thing we do have a little bit of fun with at post game as well, is checking out the bits of skill that contributed to the game, whether it's Sambo's left foot and running over top of somebody, or Harry got a nice kick there on the end of some shape to put it in the in goal. We didn't end up with a repeat set, but there's little bits of skill that are admirable through the game, and we keep celebrating those to make sure the lads know that we're backing them for it.
Yeah, I suppose it's important to celebrate, as you say, they celebrate those bits of skill, because review sessions can't all be about what needs to be fixed up. Sometimes you just got to congratulate lads on the hard work they're doing.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're in there off the back of a loss and it's a bit grim, you still want to show some things that we've been good at, and so that they don't go into the shell and we can keep pushing it. So we ended up with some good tries there on the back of it. Nice to see a couple of middle involved. We had those kicks around the sticks there. We had a couple of different people challenging for the ball. But as you can see, if you pull them kicks back up, it's not a coincidence. We know where that kick's going. There's enough people in the frame to get some luck if it comes our way, and that's how we end up.
And that win, combined with results elsewhere, take we up into third now and moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I suppose it's hard not to have a look at what's around, especially when we're previewing this week coming up with the Wakefield game, but ultimately we're trying to consolidate our position really and not worry about the others. I know it's probably a bit cliche, isn't it? And everyone will say the same, but we really are. Week at a time, and as the Challenge Cup's still going on, we're in a block at a time. So we came out of the last break into a 3-game before we get another block. So just concentrating on that really, and that block ends with this weekend's game, which is probably a little bit more than just playing Wakefield in a derby at home. It's obviously a different game for different reasons. So
yeah, great segue. We'll move on to talking about Wakefield this Saturday at AMT Headingley, and it's our MND Awareness round as we head towards the first anniversary of Rob's passing. You were obviously involved last year for that league match, and it was a really poignant occasion. It'll be something similar this Saturday.
Yeah, what a game to be involved in that last year. It was a mad couple of weeks, if you remember back. Rowan left, Rob passed away, and it kind of all just finished with that game on that day. Everybody felt it, not just the club. Lee coming to us, all eyes on from a Sky point of view, and that's why I think it's bigger than a Wakefield one this week. It's a big game for us in general to get a derby game at home. But yeah, to celebrate Rob's life there and some more MND support, I think we'll have a decent crowd, and hopefully we have a performance that suits the occasion again.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, and obviously live on BBC Two, so across the nation, everyone gets to see Super League action at its best. You mentioned Wakefield there; they turned us over at our place in round one. Where do you see both teams are from since that stage now?
Probably both in a different spot, really. We're definitely. I've looked at it again this week just to see if there's anything to pull from that game as we would preview this week, and I think we look different in both areas, with the ball and without the ball. So we're not reading too much into that last one. It was a tight game. It was round one. We all wait all pre-season for that first game, and it wasn't a shock for us. It was a tough game and a tight one. So, and again, yeah, I think they're in a different spot too. They're obviously posted a lot of points recently too, so they'll be super confident coming to us this weekend, which we're looking forward to the challenge. We'll need to be pretty physical and confident we can improve on what we're doing. Like I said, there's a bit of competition there in the middle for us too. So all the boys are on board and ready to keep our standards up.
One player who's been a standout for them this year is Max Jowett. He obviously did really well from last year in the Championship, but he's stepped up to Super League this year and been a threat against all teams.
Oh yeah, he can play, can Max. Obviously, my time there, Max was there too, so I spent a little bit of time with him. Slotted in at the halves here as well because he's got a pretty good, pretty smart rugby brain on him too. So a lot of their good stuff comes through him, regardless of where he's playing. He's pretty competitive, highly skillful, and obviously being a bit of a mainstay now there for them. So he's not the only one that's doing pretty good for them. There's a couple of blokes there in that pack that they're flying for them at the moment. So bit of a challenge for us. They managed to post quite a lot of points yesterday, so I'm going to have a little look at that game back again this week and get back in tomorrow and get into it.
And as a former Wakefield man, you'll be able to give us the inside line. Games against Leeds, is it one that they particularly look forward to getting up for?
Yeah, I think this. I'm being involved one way or another at this club now for pushing into the fourth year, and the first thing I kind of realised, we joke about it a little bit. I asked Ollie when he came back. It just everything lands on Leeds' plate. It just like I've played against Leeds for a couple of different clubs, and I want to play well, especially Friday night. I know it was Saturday this week, but Friday night coming to Wednesday, I want to make a name for myself. Yeah, everyone else's whatever they've got going on seems to land on Leeds' plate, and Brad's picked that out too. Everyone's like the Cass going to Cass at the weekend, pretty hostile, resurgent performances from them of late. It happens to be us that are going there in that game. Somebody opens a new stand somewhere, guaranteed Leeds are playing them the week after. And I think this club should be used to that. There'll be a bunch of players that are now getting used to that. We're 12 going into around 13 games in, so relish the opportunity, really. It'll be a big one this week, full house. Wakefield at home, MND. Yeah, how good. Wish I were playing.
Great stuff. And it's a busy week across all the sides this weekend. The 18s are taking on Wakefield on Thursday night, and that'll be another good test for them. They're having a great season so far. And the women are in the double header on Saturday against Wigan. That's going to be a tough one for them. A repeat of their Challenge Cup semi-final against Wigan. And the reserves had a good win last weekend as well. In terms of particularly the work that Shev's doing with those guys, they're really, as you mentioned, they're pushing the first team lads in training as well.
Yeah, obviously we all kind of link together here and make sure we're chatting about this stuff and making sure everyone's kind of on the same page and we're all around in the right direction. Now, Shever probably mentions it quite a bit that it trickles from the top, and we've got some quite high standards set at the moment, and those boys from a reserve point of view and some of the academy lads being around us and being in there, it's infectious. They want to be in the mix with it. And then from the rest of the academy lads, when the full-time lads that have been with us during the week drop back to them and they keep their standards high, and it just keeps everybody flowing now. I know Lois had a little bit of a tough one there and they picked up a couple of injuries again over weekend, but we're back into it, and you just keep going from a week to week and keep pushing it, and same as everybody else. Now, the reserve grade comp we mentioned on here last time I was on, you almost don't know what you're going to get from week to week with that, so you can just got to concentrate on your performance. And clearly, to start the game the other night, the reserves game played the same day as us against Wigan, and to be a lot of points up in that first half shows where they're at from a performance and mentality point of view. So it's good that everyone got some reps in this weekend, because this week it'd be a tricky job for the boss man to pick a team. So good on them.
Yeah, and you mentioned the younger lads. There's a few that have come in now with first team. They're now that sort of school's coming to an end for them fellas. Good to see them getting a taste of first team long term, not necessarily this season, but long term. It'd be good for them to start bedding into that system.
Yeah, how good. He's great, and I think when I've been in that situation, and a couple of them boys are in that situation right now, where they come in to be around the first team, you don't know whether to run full pelt and try run over Sam Lasoni, or you take it easy because you know that he's a. But they're building a lot of respect in the way that they're training, and like I said right at the start there, they're preparing us really well. So we've got a great bunch coming through at the minute, which has been coming for a couple of years there, and we're starting to see where that's going to head. So everyone gets another run out this week.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Scott, it's been great to chat to you. We can't wait until Saturday. Double header of action. Our women in action against Wigan Warriors. And then we've got the MND Awareness game against Wakefield Trinity at AMC. I'm looking forward to that one. Make sure you subscribe to keep in touch with all Leeds Rhinos podcast news and give us a review so we can continue to spread the word about all things Leeds Rhinos to the wider audience. One quick job I've got for all of you, if you're listening or watching, is to make sure that you vote for Rob Burrow. He's been nominated once again for the National Television Awards. If you go to nationaltvawards.com, Rob's documentary, the last one he did before he passed away, has been nominated in the authored documentary section, and we really want to get to the final, live televised final on ITV later in the year, but we have to get off the long list onto the short list for that to happen. So your vote counts. Make sure you spread the word. There's lots on the Rhinos social channels if you want to share that across your social channels. The voting closes at 11 p.m. on Friday. So do it now while you remember, and then we'll get them votes up there, and we'll give Lindsay and the kids a night out down in London to celebrate Rob's last documentary and continue to spread the word, as we will do on Saturday with our MND Awareness round. Thank you to everyone who's bought the special one-off shirt. The team will be in there. It's made up of 196 names of players that Rob played with, either for club or representative rugby. So there's not just Rhinos names on there. People like Paul Wellens, Sean O'Loughlin are in there. Jamie Langley, our assistant coach, is on there because he played with Rob for Great Britain. So make sure that you get one of those. Thank you to everyone who has done. That's raising vital funds to support the work of the MND Association. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Thursday for the Q&A edition as we look forward to Saturday's action at AMT Henley. Thanks for joining us, Scott. Great to get that insight, and we'll see you all next time.